Hey gang, I'm back. YouTube decided that I'd been working much too hard and I would never take time off myself, so they gave me a 1 week mandated vacation. Wasn't that nice of them to help me out? But now my vacation is over and I'm back.
Let's get ready to rumble! You can't handle the truth. Awesome, baby, to the top of the line.
Hey, maybe you heard about, maybe you even saw it, but there was a debate Thursday night. The lying legacy corporate corrupt mainstream media went into immediate meltdown. Democrat politicians and insiders started losing their minds. Well, I guess they just want to be like their leader.
Best humanity, where's your humanity? Where's your sympathy? Don't you hear everybody saying how sad it was what we saw and our enemies were watching and isn't it sad?
In 2020, there were many of us in alternative media. We were trying to point out then that there were issues with Joe Biden. Not just about the fact that he was your typical tax and spend Democrat, that his policies were going to be absolutely abysmal for the country and put us into inflation and recession and, but we said then, mentally, there's something going on there, the way he would snap at people and challenge even his own supporters at meetings and, hey, Jack, again, an old man with dementia. We saw it then. Some of us have had family members that died of dementia. Some of us are married to healthcare professionals that work with the elderly, work with dementia, and work with Alzheimer's patients. We've done work in ministry with those people. We know exactly what we were looking at. And repeatedly, we were told, no, there's nothing here to see. Biden campaigned that entire election season from a bunker. He even got caught wearing an earpiece. He was caught being given the answers. He was caught with cue cards and note cards telling him how to walk into a room, how to sit down, etc., etc., etc. And then the mumbling and the fumbling, we were told, it's a stutter that he's had his whole life. But Shazam, Batman, that so-called stutter never existed before 2020. We said then, it's dementia. The Biden family knew it. The lying mainstream media knew it. Democrat insiders knew it. They lied. They covered it up. And as Biden deteriorated before our very eyes, we were told that he's razor sharp in private. When we began to present the video evidence of what we were actually seeing, we were told these were deep fakes, or as Jean-Pierre Carrier, whatever you call her, they're cheap fakes. World leaders are amazed when they deal with Biden. He's such a tough negotiator. World leaders like the Prime Minister of Italy having to bring him back. Joe, you're waving at an empty field. Come over here. This is where the parachuter is. Let's back up a little bit before we get into the debate. This was Joe Scarborough 1 month ago.
Start your tape right now, because I'm about to tell you the truth. And F you if you can't handle the truth. This version of Biden, intellectually, analytically, is the best Biden ever.
Gentlemen, Ciccolini here may talk like an idiot and look like an idiot, but don't let that fool you. He really is an idiot.
Here's Joe Scarborough the day before the debate.
They're suggesting the vice president pick may come this week. And if so, that's one more way they're hedging against a really bad debate loss. So what you do is, if you get really bad headlines coming out of the debate on Friday morning, you make sure that throughout the weekend, they're not talking about the debate. Instead, they're talking about your vice presidential pick. So again, even the leaking of that as a possibility shows they're scared. I mean, they're really scared Donald Trump is going to blow this thing.
Afraid? Donald Trump was afraid of Joe Biden, afraid that Biden was going to dominate the night? How'd that work out?
We'd be able to help make sure that all those things we need to do, child care, elder care, making sure that we continue to strengthen our healthcare system, making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the with the COVID. With dealing with everything we have to do with. Look, if we finally beat Medicare.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump?
Well, he's right. He did beat Medicare. He beat it to death, and he's destroying Medicare because all of these people are coming in. They're putting them on Medicare. They're putting them on Social Security. They're going to destroy Social Security. This man is going to single-handedly destroy Social Security. These millions and millions of people coming in, they're trying to put them on Social Security. He will wipe out Social Security. He will wipe out Medicare. So he was right in the way he finished that sentence.
And I'm going to continue to move until we get the total ban on the total initiative relative to what we're going to do with more Border Patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either. Look.
The next day.
I think I should start by saying, without any apologies, that I love Joe Biden and Jill, and I will gladly debate anybody, anytime, any place, anywhere over the issue of whether Joe Biden has been the most effective president in passing bipartisan legislation and expanding NATO and responding to the rising threat coming from China by flexing America's strength around China, by having the strongest economy in the world, bar none, the strongest economy actually relative to the rest of the world in 50, 60, 70 years, the strongest dollar in half a century, the strongest military relative to the rest of the world, I would argue, and many others would argue, since 1945. I think his presidency has been an unqualified success.
A few moments later.
We know Joe Biden can govern? Mm-hmm. And again, I'll debate that issue with anyone, and I will win. I will destroy anybody that wants to debate Joe Biden's record over the past 3.5 years. He can run the White House. He can run the country effectively, despite the barrage of lies that constantly come at him, like Donald Trump's lies last night. But can he run for president in 2024? In fact, as the New York Times said, he spent much of the night with his mouth agape and his eyes darting back and forth. He couldn't fact check anything Donald Trump said. And not only that, he missed one layup after another after another. As I've said on the show, I spent 3 hours with this man, maybe back in March. 3 hours, cogent, on top of the issues, on top of every issue around the world. And last night, he simply was not on the biggest debate stage ever. And I think what surprised me and what surprised a lot of people very close to Joe Biden is the fact that this man always rises to the occasion. And last night was sadly for him, and I believe for Democrats in this country, and again, if you believe what's at stake at this election is what we believe is at stake, I'll even use the word tragically. He tragically did not rise to the occasion last night.
Okay, so as you can see, you won't see us spinning here on Morning Joe.
I still say, despite everything we saw, Joe Biden's administration has been an unmitigated success. It's been an abject failure. Let's talk about the economy. the economy where nobody can afford groceries, the economy where nobody can afford gas. You know, you have done well because you and your pole dancing wife are paid big money to come out and spew propaganda and lie. See, again, you're not a reporter that's actually interested in getting to the truth, because if you were, you would have talked about this in 2020, that Joe Biden cognitively was not where he was while he was vice president of the United States. It was apparent 4 years ago. You and Mika Brzezinski, you slinked your way one New Year's Eve down to Mar-a-Lago. You wanted to hang out with Donald Trump. He wanted nothing to do with you, and that's when you turned your guns on him and you became anti-Trump. What you really want to do is you want to hobnob with the powerful. You want to be invited to the White House. You want to go to state dinners. You don't know how to speak truth to power, Joe. You want to, and you're well paid, you're well compensated to carry the deep state water. So of course the economy feels great to you. Everything's wonderful for you and Mika. You're not having problem deciding, do we buy groceries this week or do we make a car payment? But the vast majority of Americans are. Foreign policy, he's a success on foreign policy. Really? We got 3 hot wars going right now. And I got a news flash. You can spew all the propaganda you want about Ukraine. Russia is going to crush Ukraine. They outpopulate the country by 100 million people more than Ukraine. Russia can keep throwing bodies at this thing forever. The Russian economy is rocking and rolling. You know why? When you talk about our dollar's never been stronger, bullhock. You have countries like Russia and other countries now that are no longer going to use the petrodollar. That is what has artificially inflated and kept our economy afloat for these past umpteen years. Because back in the 1970s, when President Nixon took us off the gold standard, he got us onto the petrodollar, which meant every country in the world that wanted to buy foreign oil had to do so with American currency. Well, Saudi Arabia has said they're not going to enforce that anymore. So Russia, China, and other nations are going to use their own currency to buy foreign oil. And so all that money that was coming to the United States via other nations is over. He's an unmitigated success. You want to refer to him as the felon. Just remember this about our felon. He was deemed mentally fit to stand trial. Your guy, whom you say you love, wasn't. His own DOJ said we cannot put him on trial over stealing classified documents and mishandling them because no jury in the world would convict him because he's a confused old man. In other words, he's not mentally fit to stand trial, but he's mentally fit to be president. We watched him ramble and give answers he didn't even know what he was talking about. He starts out talking about abortion, and he ends up talking about how illegal immigrants rape and kill women. Well, thank you. You made Donald Trump's argument for him. Let me tell you what this is. Number one, this is CYA. Cover your arse. For you and the rest of the lying legacy corporate corrupt mainstream media. Now, I know some on my side are saying, and this is all about they've been given permission by the Democrat insiders so they can turn their guns on Joe now because Joe got to go. I don't think so, and I'll tell you why in a minute. I think this is more like this is blown up so badly in their faces, they know they have been lying and covering up for this guy. Hey, Jake Tapper, even a couple of times in kind of like a mercy rule in Little League, cut Biden's mic off because he was just on a rambling, and he just, thank you, Mr. President. And then we went right over to Donald Trump. That was because if they had continued to let Joe ramble, I am sure he still had plenty of time left in his 2 minutes. Now, this is about the media now wanting to cover their arse because people are going to start screaming. You see this president all the time. You interact with him. Now you're discovering that there's something wrong? I mean, Joe Joe Scarborough acting all shocked. I was just with him. But after what I've seen, I know he can govern and run the country. Really? You're going to make that argument. He is on top of it and he can handle running the country, but he can't handle running for president. That's just too much for him. Standing on a stage and reacting to Donald Trump in real time, that's too much for him. Donald Trump went up there and was not rehearsed. And don't you love the way Donald Trump flipped the script on all these people? I mean, the day before, Joe Scarborough was talking about how this debate format, I mean, Trump is a sucker. You know, Biden suckered him in, and Biden's going to mop the floor with him. Got this debate early, got this debate, you know, so it's fresh on the minds of the people, and that, you know, Donald Trump having his mic muted, and he won't be able to do what he does, which is, you know, attack and lie, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I think this debate format, and I said this a week ago. Oh, wait, I couldn't say it here because I was on vacation. But I said a week ago that I thought this debate format was actually going to help Trump. When everybody was complaining about it, I said, I don't know. When and Donald Trump not being able to respond like Donald Trump, and he didn't take any debate from Biden. I mean, the one back and forth there about the golf, that was kind of funny. And then even Donald Trump was the one that brought it back to reality. He said, let's not act like children. Does anybody believe that Joe Biden in a driving range could drive a golf ball farther than Donald Trump? Does anybody actually believe that? We have video footage of the guy who can't pick up a lawn chair at the beach. Oh, but wait, it's a deep fake, right? I know, Joe Biden's Happy Gilmore. He can knock the ball a country mile. What am I thinking? So, but the debate format actually helped Trump. And there were times Biden dumped things right into Trump's lap. I know we've already showed it, but this is the viral clip right here that ended the Joe Biden presidency once and for all.
And I'm going to continue to move until we get the total ban on the total initiative relative to what we're going to do with more Border Patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either. Look.
He doesn't know what he's talking about either. That was classic. So number one, the media is trying to CYA itself right now. Number two, replace Joe with who? Again, and you've heard all the other pundits talk about, well, you know, we got the Kamala issue, and Joe would have to agree. Joe's not going to agree. You see, Joe in his own mind thinks he can beat Trump, but I've told you the real power here is Jill. You know, Jill, who took him into a room right after the debate in front of supporters, and we've all seen that video footage. Joe, you answered every question. You know, I used to talk like this too with my kids when they were potty training. You got all the poopy in the potty. Everybody has said, I've been saying for years, others are catching up to it, Jill Biden is guilty of elder abuse. Duh! Jill likes this power. And I think Jill understands that while he's president, he can protect Hunter, he can even protect himself. And Jill doesn't like the Obamas. And I know some are saying, well, you know, there'll be that meeting where somebody says, now look, Joe, if you don't agree to step down and step aside, we're going to have to go after Hunter. I told you this before, a few weeks ago. The Biden family. I mean, we're talking about a reprobate here. When he was talking about Donald Trump, you know, having sex with Stormy Daniels and raping a woman in the store, and Donald Trump said, I didn't do any of those things. But we do know there's a woman that lives out of the country now because Joe Biden finger raped her. Do I have to get descriptive on that? We do know that the diary of his daughter is authenticated and real, and he was taking showers with his 12, 13-year-old daughter mean, we have this Biden crime family where Hunter was strung out on every kind of drug, banging his dead brother's wife, blew up his own marriage, fathers a child that he won't take responsibility for. Joe Biden and the rest of the family doesn't acknowledge this child as a grandchild. Michelle Obama is apparently outraged and angry with the Bidens over that because this mother is a friend of Michelle. So trust me, Jill Biden doesn't like Michelle Obama, doesn't like the Obama family. Joe's not stepping aside unless Jill says so. So it's not going to happen. And now you've got Barack Obama publicly saying, hey, you had a bad night, but we're not going to. That's a message to the Dems. Get back in line. Bill Clinton has come out and said, we're sticking with Joe. See, here's the thing. They don't want Gavin Newsom. Because here's the problem they have with Gavin Newsom. The Clintons, the Obamas, etc., they can't control Gavin Newsom. 4 years ago, they could have had Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders was hugely popular within the Democratic Party. Bernie Sanders was legitimately a challenge and a threat to Donald Trump. They picked Joe Biden because of his mental deficiency. Nobody really believes he's the actual president. And they're not going to swap him out for a Gavin Newsom. Because Gavin Newsom will take away their power and their control because that's, Gavin Newsom's pretty slick. So that's not going to happen. The Dems are stuck with old Joe. And Joe Scarborough, you can say all you want, how you loved him and how sharp, and you'll defend his record. You're a liar. You're a propagandist. And I'm sorry. I don't feel bad for Joe Biden. I've said this before, and I will say it again. The gallows they erected to take out Donald Trump, God has flipped it. Flipped it. The court cases have backlashed in such a way, it has made Trump a folk hero. The debate format, which was supposed to, handcuff Donald Trump, he absolutely hit it out of the park, and it was supposed to protect Joe Biden, and Joe Biden turned in the worst debate performance of any president ever in the history of debates. Joe Biden is a criminal who has gotten away with things in the sense that nobody's going to slap handcuffs on him. He'll never be seen in an orange jumpsuit appearing before a judge having to enter a plea. That's not going to happen to Joe. I've said this before and I'll say it again and I'm done. There is a God on the throne. And God does render justice. Life may not always be fair, but in the end it's just. And you have a man who has lied, connived, destroyed families in this country through his so-called crime bill, says that there are no soldiers that have died on his watch, and completely forgetting about the 13 American soldiers who were killed in his pullout of Iraq. This man cares for no one or nothing and would even sacrifice his own son. If Obama comes and makes the threat, if you don't step aside, we're going to go after your son, he'll be like, I don't care. I shower with my daughter. You think I care what happens to Hunter? So the fact that he has mentally lost it and is defecating on stages in front of people and freezing and doing simple-minded things, becoming a laughingstock. For your parents and my parents, I would weep for that. For Joe Biden, I simply say it is justice being served.